Right in the heart of a silver bullet.
I think they're plotting on man. Don't wipe their feet when they enter the L.A.R. I feel a cold stare.
I grew up on the ocean. The Atlantic Ocean was the beach. It was a place to go. And then I went to Africa for the first time. Misconnect. I was supposed to give a speech in Abuja in Nigeria, and I got there too late. And so they sent somebody to meet me at the airport in Lagos, who was supposed to take care of me. And this young lawyer met me at the airport, and he was very nice. And first thing he said was, I had to show you Lagos. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And he took me all around the city, and we would literally go into neighborhoods and he would start shouting, hey, everybody come out and meet this Black American lawyer. And he took me all around the city. And I finally said, man, I got to get a little rest. Can we just go home and get a little, I got to get up early. He said, okay, one more place. And, he took me to the beach. It was dark. You could see the moon shining across the ocean. And this guy had been so gregarious and so talkative, all of a sudden got so quiet. And I was standing there and I looked over at him, and he was crying. He had a tear running down his face. And then he looked at me and he said, I brought you here because I wanted to tell you, I'm sorry. This is where we lost you. Mm. And for the first time in my life, I realized I was standing on the other side of this ocean that separated me from everything that's important about me. My identity, my culture, my history was all taken from me by the Atlantic Ocean. If I take a DNA test, I show up in 24 different countries. And it hit me hard. First time. And it changed my relationship to the Atlantic Ocean. When I got back here, I realized that that body of water needed to be understood more honestly. We've spent millions of dollars looking for trinkets from the Titanic in the Atlantic. And we haven't spent hardly anything to reckon with the 2 million bodies that are buried in the bottom of that ocean. And so a story can help us understand things about who we are, our relationship to the things around us that are important. I still love the beach. I still see it as a place of beauty. But I also see this need to help others understand the harm that was caused by moving millions of people off of their land, their place, their space. It's really unprecedented in human history.
What's happening? The FBA issue with Africa or the diaspora, not necessarily the diaspora, that's different, but the African diaspora. I've talked about Black Americans kind of being the story of Joseph in the Bible biblically, where his brothers sold him into slavery, and then he's in slavery and jail and winds up basically getting it out the mud, as they would say, and becoming a very prominent figure in a country that's not his. And that winds up becoming his home. So I'm saying this in the same aspect where let me rewind this. The brothers, when they figured out who he was, they thought he was going to kill him. And he brought the father, and then he forgave him. And I think the issue becomes that people from Africa think we're going to forgive them and not take it into consideration. There's, because of the transatlantic slave trade, there's millions of stories of Joseph that didn't go so well. It went horribly. And when he said in this thing, like, this is where we lost you, it's like, it's not where you lost me. It's where you sold me. It's where you sold me out. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes people go, that's a long time ago. It's this, that, and the third. And it's like, well, and I get the FBA thing and people talking about, people are already here. And I understand that. But at the same time, there were people shipped here. And those people intermingled with the people that were already here. And in the United States, it was, I think the least amount actually came here. So what winds up happening is, I don't think what winds up happening is you have these issues, is what I should have said. But I don't think Africa, especially West Africa, got over what they participated in. I think, it still haunts them. But I also think that people come to let's just say the Western Hemisphere, but predominantly the United States of America, and in a sense go, well, if I make something of myself here, good, what's wrong with you people? And it's like, what, you're not going to Jamaica. You're not going to the Dominican Republic or Haiti. You're not going to Grenada. You're not going to Belize. You're not going to Panama. You're not going to Brazil. You know what I'm saying? You're not going. You're trying to be here. You might go to Canada, but you're trying to come here. And you're basically fighting to come to the land that you sold people out at. And the issue with that concept is going back to the story of Joseph. He tested his brother's character because he wanted to see if these were the same people. They still had the same hearts that they did when they were jealous and sold him. I mean, one of his brothers, tried to he put him in a pit. Basically, he's like, "We're not gonna kill our brother. We're gonna." He tried this. It's told that he tried to come back to get him, but by the time he got back, no, I take that back. His plan was to put him in a pit, and when they go home, come back and get him. But then the rest of them decided to sell him. But he was like, okay. But getting back on track, he tested his brother's character to see if they were the same. And what has wound up happening in the United States of America is that far too often you have the same character of the people that sold us off and sold us out. It's the same premise that we would say with racism, white supremacy. People will go, I never owned a slave. I never, did this or did that. And they're right. They're absolutely right. But their character says, I'm still there. If I had the opportunity, I would. That's what the character says. So what winds up happening is you go, okay, you're not the person who did that, but you're the person who not just benefited from that, but you revel in that. You enjoy that. You don't you're not ashamed of that. You're proud of that. So cool. You're just like them. And what winds up happening is people haven't reconciled with the fact that in essence, you sold your people out to suffer here. People were here before America was America. Okay? And then years later it goes, ooh, it's looking good over there. Now I'm gonna buy my way there. I sold you out there. But now it looks so good, I want to buy my way there. And then when I get there, I'm gonna try to part of the what is that? Part of the issue is you think, oh, let's get back to the disrespect. So I was like, oh shit. So it's the same disrespect that got brother sold, you gonna come here with. Not taking into consideration that because of that, there will be no forgiveness. And there will be no forgetting. Because it's like, oh, okay, this is what you want. So, and part of that concept of, let me gravitate to and glorify the idea of whiteness and want to be that and want to be like that. And it's like want to emulate that. And it's like, oh, you're a two-timer. You're a two-timer. And hide that behind, oh, you people don't go to school. It's like, you go to our schools and tell us we don't go to school. Do you know how crazy that sounds? You have been going to our schools for decades and tell us we don't go to school. You were going to our HBCUs. But you kids don't you don't like school in high school. Okay, don't act like all y'all like school in high school. We're not, don't play the game where all of y'all are just, you're doing the same thing that white people did to Asians with that concept of people are so smart. It's like there's a demographic that are very smart, but in a general sense, everybody's not like that. See, you put the positive stereotype, for the minority of the people on the majority, and you put the negative stereotype of us, the minority of our people, on the majority. So we're looking like, okay, pain and guilt can make you do some strange things. But if it makes you repeat the cycle, then we're going to have an issue. And that's the issue with the diaspora. Because it doesn't look like you're doing the opposite, as in, because Black Americans, we tried to show Africa love and connect with Africa. In a general sense, that was a rejection. So you're not going to, that concept of we're going to reject you and benefit off of you. You need to bow down to us when we come here after you did all the heavy lifting to make it comfortable for me to come here after we sold you out. It's like, yo, you pushing it and you might get hurt. So that's, to me, that's part of the delineation. It's like, you know what? You never learned. You never learned. And when people go, yeah, people's parents, stay away from them, get away from them. Those people are like this. Those people are like that. Coming from, in a general sense, the type of people that sold us into bondage to stay away from us, and then save up money to fly to benefit off of us. It's so hypocritical. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Tell me what you think. Catch you on the next one. Peace.